right. Good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning, everybody. I hope everyone is doing quite well. Go ahead and grab you some morning coffee. We are getting started right now. Good morning, good morning, good morning. Very glad to see everybody. Y'all, guess what? We made it to Friday, everybody. Um, we definitely made it to Friday. So I'm going to give just a couple minutes waiting for everybody to come on. Good morning, Aunt Carla. So good to see you. So good to see you. Good morning. Y'all go ahead and come on in. I'm here. Oh, oh, come on in. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning, everybody. So good to see you all. Go ahead and gather. So good to see you all. Good morning. Good morning, Aunt Carla. Always fantastic to see you. Also want to say good morning to my favorite girl, Tanur. How you doing, Tanur? Farmer Tanur. Good morning, good morning, good morning. Good morning, Priscilla. So very good to see you. Very glad to see everybody. I'm just giving everybody a couple moments to get on. Y'all go ahead and come on in. Thank you so very much. Y'all, it is a fantastic Friday, right? This is the last Friday in September 2020, if you can believe it. When we get into next week, it's actually um, going to be October next Thursday. So Um, really good to see. So I'm just trying to give a couple minutes to get everybody on here. And while we wait for that, definitely want to say to you all, welcome to the Savage Political Bite. I am your founder and host, Erica Savage Wilson. Thank you so much. Good morning to you, Dr. Wilson. It's fantastic to see you. Good morning to everybody that's joining. Dietrich, Dr. Wendy Wilson. And so, good morning again to everybody that's watching. This is the Savage Political Bite. Today is Friday, September the 24th, 2020. Good morning to you, Dietrich. Again, I was just saying this is yesterday, or actually last Wednesday, was the last Wednesday of the week for 2020. So next Thursday, it wasn't the last week. Next Thursday will actually be October the 1st. So it'll be the beginning of a new fiscal year for all of those people out in federal government. And then we will be actually a bit of good news. We'll be 30 days out for the census. The Legal Defense Fund. The executive director of that is Kristen Clark. Good morning. So good to see everybody. Thank you all for joining. I'm taking a little slow this morning because I want to be intentional with the time this morning. The executive director of the Leadership Defense Fund, Kristen Clark, was on Twitter early this morning, about 12, to say that there was a big win by the leadership um, by the Legal Defense Fund, and that they actually won an injunction, so barring the census from stopping all of their efforts on September 30, because that's why I kept saying September 30 going to October 1, because actually next week, next Thursday, next Wednesday, excuse me, would have been the last day of the census, but they were actually have been doing the work around suing for quite some time, and so that is some really good news. So the census, as it stands, won't end on the 30th of September. It'll be to the 31st of October, as the Census Bureau actually said that they needed this additional time. Um, excuse me, bless me, Lord. Um, and that was the original timeline. So now they're back to their original timeline of capturing all of the people that they can for the census, the people that are working out in the field until October the 31st. So that is a really big victory. Good morning to you, Ms. Barbara Reddy. Great to see you. Mom and Dad always love you so much. And good morning, CEO. Excuse me, bless me, Lord. Good morning, CEO Sharon. It's good to see you too. And so that is really really good news. And so that got that yet last night about 12:25 a.m. So some really really good news when you kind of think about the course of how things have been in the court as it relates to protecting people. And so that's really kind of where I want to start there this morning. This has just really been a heavy week. I have to be very honest with you all. And I know that particularly for people that are on social media, people that watch the news, and just really kind of been inundated with a lot that's happening right now. The expectation to hear um, the grand jury, what the decision was around bringing charges against those persons who were involved in the shooting, who shot Breonna to death, did not render aid to her as she laid on the floor, and then subsequently um, went about the business of not only um, arresting her boyfriend, who was, per the castle doctrine, protecting his home, king of the castle, so to speak. But then also he faced charges, and were it not for extraordinary public pressure and good legal defense, he would probably still be in jail right now, yet mourning the death of Breonna Taylor. But he didn't. Kenneth Walker is out and among us. So when we just really think about um, that was supposed to happen the week before, it happened this week, and to get that decision, it has just been very, very heavy. Last night was watching the Lakers and the Nuggets. The Lakers did pull it out, so they're leading the series against the Nuggets 3-1. LeBron James was interviewed last night a couple of times, and the last post game interview that he did immediately after with one of the TNT correspondents was really, really good, because the last part she asked him about Breonna Taylor and the justice that she did not receive. He'd already made a statement prior to that before the game. And what he just really laid out was really what was on the hearts of many, that, a lot of us have to, as I said on Rolling last night, you have to, grieve and lead, or as I've heard it put before, you have to lead and bleed while you're leading. It's a lot. But what he captured, and he just really, really talked about that he didn't know what he would do if it were his one of the black women that he especially loves, his daughter, his mother, his wife, or different black women that have been involved in his life. If that were to happen to them, he would feel as though he failed in protecting them. So just a lot, and that's just a snippet. He said more. Um, It was the first interview right after their game, right after the game. If you want to go and check that out. But all of that to say, it has been an emotionally heavy week. And I'll say this, if someone is able to kind of go about their week and, seem somewhat unbothered, or that they're not impacted, that's absolutely fine. Allow people to be or shield themselves however it is that they're able to make it through. But if you are an empath, if you are a person who you're engaged in this work, and to say that, a person not expressing emotion, that it does not say that they are not feeling. But for those people that this is kind of the work that you wear, these are, and this is just real life, to be honest with you, a life was taken. And that's fine to grieve that, particularly when we look at really the circumstances that we find ourselves in as a nation, and then a microcosm of that, a community. Is definitely, definitely fine to feel that what you're feeling. Um, but that if you are a person that is a bit more in tuned in that way, that one is an empath, um, is very much so heavily connected with people, an on the ground person, an activist, a person who is just tired or exhausted, to say to you that that's just fine. That is a part of the human experience, and that to get what is best at, when we're in times like this, is to have a really really good support group, the kind of people that that you can pick up the phone, that you can talk, that you can call, that you can cry without explanation, and they're just not trying to reason rationale um, out of what you're feeling and the reason that you're feeling it. They'll allow you to be exactly who you are, and all of us need those type of individuals around us. So it's definitely been a very, very heavy week with just 38 days to go until November the 3rd, and we're getting to nearly 220 federal judges that are being confirmed in the Senate. You have to vote. You have to engage in the process of voting. That is where we are, and we have had some very real conversations on Roland Martin Unfiltered. But one of the things about being on a show that has the type of latitude that is allowed, um, that it is not kind of confined the way um, some shows are on mainstream media, which there's nothing wrong because I still watch mainstream media to a degree and read a lot of newspapers. But what you do find that is really good with Roland Martin Unfiltered is that number one, the audience is very engaged, that you're able to expand the time, expand the guest list, get really, really good perspectives. But the other part of that is you really get to hear people, week by week, really talk about those things that are very much so important and need to know issues for Black, Brown, and other marginalized and oppressed communities. And a lot of the righteous outrage that for many that has been seen across mainstream media is really what we've been feeling and saying on that platform and many more platforms for well over a couple of years, that this person is a clear and present danger, and that one of the ways that we're able to engage a person who definitely means no one that has been a part of this democracy experience and had to traverse life a different way. Thanks so much, Aaron. Appreciate you, and good morning to everybody that's just joined. Is that there's no real understanding of what a democracy is for that person. But we have a really great understanding of democracy, and it's really our time to protect what remaining of it that we have. And this part involves everybody. This involves everybody. And the main way that we are actually going to get to a place where we're able to say, okay, let's look and kind of see what we have remaining is by engaging people to vote. Vote.org, vote.org, vote.org. We have to check our status. That's everybody. We have to make sure that after we check our status, that we go ahead and we know exactly where we're going to vote. And I say this because there are some places where there's satellite polling locations. You want to make sure that there have not been any changes to where you go to vote. If you're dropping off a secure ballot and that is the route that you're taking, where you actually drop that, you want to be precise. You want to know because, and I'll be very honest in saying this. Good morning to you, Darshell, and good morning to everyone. Good morning, Melanie. My goodness, sis, it's so good to see you. My hometown, sis. Good morning, Mr. Herndon. Darshell again, good morning. Divon, great to see you. Nicole, Joyce, Einstein, thank you all so much for joining. Everybody that's on, if you drop a good morning, I'll feel hello, I'm tired, an emoji, whatever it is that you feel like, a fist, do that so I can make sure that I especially tell you good morning. But when we just really kind of consider um, what's at stake, at stake for our community, I was just reading that there are people that are on the ground in Louisville, Kentucky right now, particularly after there was an announcement made um, after the grand jury said that there would be no charges brought against the officers, specifically for the death of Breonna Taylor. There are people that are on the ground there in Louisville that are very much so reporting out, and we saw this happen in Charlottesville, that there are people that are out in the streets. Um, they're protesting, and because of the curfew, the 72-hour curfew of 9 a to 9 p, have actually been in places where it was a sanctuary on the steps of a church, right by the church. And because it was not 9 p.m. when they crossed over that threshold, they've been arrested by law enforcement. Now, you're talking about specifically, you're talking about people that are out um, exercising um, protests because there was not an even and um, she was erased. Breonna Taylor was erased, and the charges that were read out, particularly the wanton endangerment, by the same law enforcement person that has been involved um, in the law in ways that have been detrimental to people in public life. I mean, excuse me, for people, for civilians rather, and he's been accused of sexual assault. This is the person that was accused of wanton endangerment for shooting into a neighbor's shooting, and that the bullet was then lodged into a neighbor's home that is non-black, is specifically white. I bring all that forward to say that because you have people that are out, they're protesting, they're going to safe places like churches, and are being arrested because the police officers are lying in wait at these churches, waiting to arrest these protesters while you have these white, and they're called militia groups. I'm not calling them militia groups. These white terrorist organizations that are providing some type of security for different people's businesses. That is just so. Though those are the different dynamics that we have in play. I'm saying that and saying have a plan because these individuals are getting their marching orders from someone who has no sense, as I was talking about a few moments ago, of what democracy is. He's never worked for anybody. He is a failed business person, and that he has weaponized all different sides of federal government, of the Attorney General's office, the CDC, the FDA, for his own personal. This is not for a greater good, because those same people that he's using as tools of violence, these white terrorist groups, they're disposable as well. He cares nothing about anybody except for himself. This is the person that is at 1600 Black Lives Matter Plaza in Washington, D.C. This is the person that has said that he is going to steal an election. This is the person that has turned even further these agencies, that civil rights groups, that our ancestors, that our grandparents have really fought to ensure that we are protected as much as possible with consent decrees, with ensuring that there are things in place to um, help um, these law enforcement personnel to not be as abusive. And we've seen that those things have not worked, right? That he has actually said to them, listen, rough them up. Pretty much said in language that these people are anarchists, which is kind of, that's been a buzzword for quite some time here in 2020, as a way to continue to disparage those people who are protesting. They're exercising their right to protest. They're saying, we're saying that you are killing black folks with impunity, right? This is what they're saying. Good morning, Deidre. Good morning, Trudy. Good morning, Michelle. I'm so glad to see every single person on this broadcast. That is what's being telegraphed. That's what's being said, and that they're being punished for that. Um, because these white unmarked, supposedly mocking law enforcement, and that's really kind of a deeper conversation. But we've talked about slave patrols. I know I've mentioned it several times on Roland Martin Unfiltered. patty rollers, all of these different type of deputized people charged with making sure that slaves, in fact, that ran away or needed to come back to work the land, that they were captured and that they were reinstalled back to that plantation or wherever it is that they ran off to, that these morning, good morning, Tracy, so good to see you this morning, that this same type of activity where you're talking about deputizing citizens, this is what is happening right now to make sure you have your plan and you know that you how you're going to execute your vote. This is not to invoke fear, but this is to say that there has to be a conscious of what's happening. So goes Portland, so goes Louisville. All of these different things that we're actually seeing that, and I understand, and I'm saying a lot, but I want to just kind of capture this and paint this picture. I get text messages, I get DMs, I get private messages, emails of people saying, I'm afraid. People saying that, these people have lost their minds. What is going on? What are we going to do? I'm getting my passport ready. Like all of these different types of text messages. And in that, there's fear, and understandably so, because there's so much that is happening, but it's been happening. It's just happening at a more rapid pace because we're getting close to November the 3rd. We're getting very, very close to election day. And the power grab, that shift is on, and it is on at warp speed. I'm bringing that forward about having a plan about these militia groups or these groups that have been deputized, so to speak, like slave patrols, for us to really, more than anything, to be prepared. We saw here in the DMV when Virginia opened the polls last Friday on September the 18th. You're talking about in cities like Alexandria, Northern Virginia, wealthy, areas where there's to see some stuff for some people is almost surprising a bit, that in Northern Virginia and in Virginia at large, but particularly in Northern Virginia, Arlington, kind of the Roslyn area, that there a lot of the headlines last week is that there were a lot of people that support the current white occupant of the White House that were out with their signs, flags, and you're talking about September the 18th. They were out, right? And we talked about here on the bite that voter intimidation. I said it before it happened. We already know that we are disenfranchised as voters, and I'm talking about the Black experience. We already know that even though we fought um, and had legislation in place to protect us. You're talking about, and I'm talking about the Voting Rights Act, which there was a specific part that was gutted back in 2013 that really did protect specific areas that were really known, and those areas were particularly in the South for disenfranchising Black voters, right? So those protections were cleared. But you're talking about a group of people, a community that really, really fought so that those rights could be protected for Black and marginalized communities as much as possible. We have that gutted and gone, right? So again, going to another presidential election with that gone. Excuse me. And then you have people who are already showing up to intimidate early voting. Early voting. Can you imagine what it will be like as we continue to move into the month of October, and particularly as we get to November the 3rd, particularly with these domestic terrorists that are providing security in Louisville for some business operations, to ensure that people do not trespass. When we think about everything that we've really been seeing on the news, the calls that this occupant of the White House has made for his voters or people in specific states like North Carolina to not only do vote, not only to vote by mail, but to also then show up at the poll to make sure that it counted. That you have to be able to look at all of this and understand that you're actually exercises the right to vote. Not only do you want to make sure that it's planned, but that you know where you're going and you know who the people that you have influence with. You know exactly, okay, this is when we're going to the poll. Um, these are the things that we may or may not see, but we're not leaving until we vote. That is a part of having a voting plan. That is a part of being very resolute in making sure that you research your ballot because you want to know what and who you're voting for. We talked about that on the bite, the difference between the what and the who, and why that what needs to be first and then the who second. That is all a part of the plan because when you go to the poll, there is no telling what any of us may come against. Now, it may be fine, right? It may be just fine. It may be the same thing when a person goes to drop off their secure ballot. Excuse me. However, when we're talking about actually voting in person, no one knows what it will be like. However, that is why we have a plan. A plan says that I know what I'm going to do. I know who I'm going to and what I'm going to be voting for. And I know without a doubt, that I have my voting outfit. And so I'm protected. I'm getting ready to go and cast my ballot and make sure that the people that I talked to, the people that said that they, in fact, were going to go and cast their ballot, did the same thing. And that is really all a part of having the plan, researching your ballot, knowing what you're going to wear. All of that just makes sense to be able to have all of that in place because good people, we just don't know what we're going to come up against, but we have an idea because of what we've been seeing, what we've been hearing, and what we know to be all too true. That this is a person who is not interested in democracy at all. Not interested in democracy at all. Good morning, Rayon. Good morning, Joelle. Baby sis, always great to see you. And I'm saying all of that to say this is not a scare. These are just the facts. These are the facts. And um, a lot of what you've seen with Savage Politics and the Savage Political Bite has really been about bringing us up to this moment where we've got to shift and engage. It's almost like when you think about something that you're preparing for, and now it's time to actually execute. You've prepared so much and may think that you're not ready, but you're well prepared. We are all well prepared. And again, this is a fight for Gen Xers, Xennials, Millennials, and Gen Z. This is our fight. This is our fight. Right. Okay. So Tanur said, can you speak about what's happening down ballot? It all depends on your municipality that you're in right now, Tanur. It depends on where you live. So you want to research your ballot. This conversation, and let me be clear, I'm glad you said that, sis. My conversation is not just about the presidential ballot. I want to be very, very clear. And I'm glad that you brought that point forward because Savage Political Bite was created in 2017 when I moved to Washington, D.C., because I had a really good understanding that there was a disconnect between a lot of the political minutia that's heard on a national level and then how that actually trickles down state and local level. Love politics, have always loved politics, have worked in local, state, and federal congressional politics, have worked on campaigns, and I knew that. So a lot of the language that is heard is kind of like what we talked about on the ballot. The language usually when we're looking at referendums, when we're looking at initiatives, when we're looking at questions that are being asked for the public's approval or not, is usually written in lawyerly language, right? Legal speak, legalese. So because everyone did not go to law school, if you watch Law and Order, that does not count. But because everybody did not go to law school, sometimes there's a bit of a disconnect between the language and what is really being asked. And so researching ballot, getting the sample ballot definitely helps in that way. So that is why Savage Politics um, is in existence right now. It is below the fold commentary. The specific mission of Savage Politics is to bring below the fold issues to the top of the fold. And because I am from Southwest Georgia, proud Albany, Georgia, to be able to connect the rule with the national meant something to me to be able to say that, listen, this is how this actually um, rolls out for us. This is what this means. This is how this affects us. So, by all means, please pay attention to what is on the ballot, period. There's going to be a hefty amount. That's why we're getting our sample ballots. However, this presidential election, let's be very clear, this is the most consequential election of everybody's lifetime, period. And if you have children, if you enjoy and love your own life, but particularly if you have children, if you have people in your family that you love, nieces, nephews, parents, grandparents, friends, for those people who it may not be familial, this election is all about how things are going to be for each of those people in their respective lives post November the 3rd. And those things actually matter. You have a person who absolutely that is in 1600 Black Lives, that is on 1600 Black Lives Matter Plaza, that cares nothing about the human experience except how it involves him and his bank account. And let me tell you why. There are over 200,000 people who are bearing witness to that who are no longer here right now, because there is still not a national testing strategy in this country to the most, this country that is supposed to be so brilliant, that is supposed to be first, this country that is supposed to be so cutting edge, is in fact one of the wealthiest countries in the world, that there is no national testing strategy, and that even in that there's no national mask mandate to make sure that we are not passing along something that is going to undoubtedly impact everybody's lives. It impacts, has, and still impacts and continues to impact industry, businesses, essential services, those people who work in essential services. And if you think that this is something that can just be, well, um, um, just kind of, I'm going to stay in my corner, let those people stay in their corner, that's not how any of this works. There has to be a plan for how we are going to mitigate the new and novel coronavirus. And there's not. There are other countries, they're doing contact tracing, they're executing all types of options to be able to make sure that folks are not contracting coronavirus at the wild rates that are happening here in the United States. But there's not going to be a corner that anybody's going to be able to hide in without a national testing strategy and mask mandate to combat COVID-19. So this is not just about, oh, whether a person votes in the presidential election or not. This is about, are you participating in what is remaining in democracy? And if you do not, everything that is coming, you absolutely earned it. You requested it. It was requested. And that is just where we are right now. That is exactly where we are. Um, I'm still seeing for some people that are saying, it's a bit hyperbolic. I honestly don't understand that language. It is almost as though I'm sitting in a movie theater and I'm asking, is this the same film? Are we watching the same movie? So, absolutely, this presidential election, this one matters a whole lot. This one actually matters. This absolutely, absolutely matters. And it is not just, it is because it is a 2020 election, because this is also an election year for everybody that's um, in the House, right? 435 seats are up too. So this is a big year of elections. Then you have people who already have elections that were happening within their particular state already. This is a huge election, a huge, huge election. So please, everybody, be engaged. Don't let anybody say to you it's not that. This is a huge, huge deal, an extraordinarily huge deal. Good morning, Gloria. So good to see you. Hello, State Representative Barlow. Always fantastic to see you. Good morning, Pam. Good morning, Donnie Johnson. Sherelle Moore Tucker. And I know that people are looking to escape to get better news somewhere and not kind of have to be and hear these types of conversations, but we have to have them. because they're real. And we've actually been having them on Savage Politics now for well over 3 years, and with the Savage Political Bite for nearly a year. We have to be prepared. There's work to do. There is work for Gen X, Xennials, Millennials, and Gen Zers to do. And that work starts now. Starts now. Starts now. It's been starting. But this is definitely an incredible work for us. I know it was a little bit heavy this morning, but it has been a heavy week, and I just want us to be very, very realistic. I wouldn't say this if I didn't love you all. I absolutely love this community, this bike gang community, um, and I just have to be honest. It has just been an incredibly tough week. I'm always saying to you all that you all know I work in politics, and then outside of that is this platform and other projects that I'm working. And I have to say, for some, there's not a choice, but it is because this is the thing that we actually do love and enjoy politics. But it has been difficult, and it's been difficult for a lot of people this week. There's just been an onslaught, it seems to be, of so much that is happening, it seems, at one time. But you do have to have people that are actually engaged, that are getting the information, that are able to transcribe that information as well. But it's been a tough week. I just want us to be prepared, because that is what the bite has been about. This is just not been about, well, let's gather, and let's sit back and kind of like hear. The formula that I shared with you all, that is a reminder on your Savage Political Bite, that information plus engagement equals power. We have been getting really, really good information, everybody. We've been getting some really, really powerful information, and we can't just consume. We have got to make sure that that energy actually goes out and it accomplishes what it needs to accomplish. And that part is really engaging. And that is where we are right now. We're at this engagement. You've been being fed for quite some time. All of us have, me, myself. Now it is time to actually engage the information that we have been getting and have stored up, right? It's time to do that. And that is why we have community, because we want to be able to say, I'm a little bit tired. And somebody says, will you take a breath? And when you get your breath together, you get back up, and we'll keep on pushing. That's what the bike gang, that is what this community is here for. But we've all got to push. We've all got to push. I was just saying the other day when I was coming up to I'm very much so conscious of time, and very much so conscious of the dates, and that we are less than a week away. As we talked about at the top, I spent a little time just reconciling that we're almost at October the 1st. And so in political communities, that means that October surprises, which means that the opposition research will be wild, but that there will be all of these different type of um, bits and pieces of information that are really meant to throw a person off of their game, so to speak. We've all really kind of seen the way this person who occupies the White House behaves. We've just seen this over the past many years now. Don't be, there's nothing a whole lot that leaves us to be shocked. But what I am saying is that with the October surprises coming, the census still going on, and people still engaging the vote, make sure you have your voting plan. Make sure that you have researched that ballot to know what and who is on the ballot. Make sure you have your voting outfit together, and make sure you're talking to people to ensure that you are influencing them, particularly if they're unregistered, to register to go vote and then become a poll worker. Let's exercise that formula. Let's exercise that formula, because we're going to need to keep it just that tight, just that succinct, to make sure that we're able to move through to November the 3rd and really, really, really shift the way we've been seeing things here for the past several years. So that is what I have for you this morning. It's up to us. It's definitely up to you. And so I really, really hope that everybody is prepared. I really want for everybody to be prepared. So listen, again, I love you all. As we always end the Savage Political Bite, want to say that make sure that the first voice that you are hearing in the morning isn't that your voice, that you are speaking well and powerfully over yourself, that you are saying those things that really are commanding your day in a powerful way. So please, in fact, do that. And then also make sure that you are doing your breath work. Y'all see that I have my candle that my lovely sis and friend Sherelle Moore Tucker, yoga specialist, that she got for me. It smells delightful. I just kind of go over and smell it every once in a while. But then also just want to shout you out, Sherelle, for these meditation cards. Girl, they have, you could not have sent those at a better time. Thank you so much. So make sure that you spend some time not only doing your 10 deep breaths in the morning, but that you do the 10 before you retire for the bed this evening, and that you also do spend some time being still today. There is a lot that is happening, a lot going on, and that's kind of one of the ways that I'm using the process is I do step away from social, and I do just kind of spend time in quiet. Always remember, I said this on Black News Channel yesterday morning after sharing space with my mentor, the brilliant Dr. Avis Jones the Weaver. 2 Kings 6:15 through 17. We will win. Read it, read it, read it. If you are not a believer, if it's not for you, listen, it's up to you. I'm saying for those people who are open to reading that, read it. That is what grounds me. That is what drives me because this is real. This is real. But when I read that scripture years and years ago, it definitely stuck with me. And I'm so glad to be able to stand on that scripture, particularly in at such a time as this. So listen, today is Friday. I hope that you are celebrating um, the going into your weekend well. Take care of yourself. Before we end out, thank you so much. Mindbodyfaith.org. Mindbodyfaith.org. That is where you can find Sherelle and all of her really essential pieces to help create your atmosphere, environment of calm. Do that. Want to say this before we leave out today. It is two very important people that have and that had birthdays, actually three. So I want to say happy birthday to all three of these people. So I want to start off with my love, my good friend, my sister, who whenever she was flying back in and out of DC, I would always call it her second home. She always made space so that we could sit down, have a meal together, talk, laugh. This is my girl, Pam Green Jackson. I love you so much. This has kind of been a week where I've been off of social a bit, not as much. But I want to say to you, happy birthday to you, sis. Love you so very much. And I hope that you had a special birthday. She's a very, very special woman, great political operative, and just all around person of the community, and was a CNN hero. So, congratulations to you for always um, making the community better. And congratulations on just seeing another birthday. So happy birthday. Also want to say happy birthday to my girl, my health and wealth partner, Tanya Sloans. Happy birthday to you, Sloans. I don't think she's a part of the broadcast this morning. It is her birthday. So happy birthday to you, my dear sister. And then I also believe that is it my niece's birthday? I want to make sure that it's also my niece's birthday. Iman, I believe today is her birthday. I know her birthday is in this month because my other niece's birthday was at the top of the month. Um, Precious. So I believe today is Amon's birthday. If so, happy birthday to my boo, my boo. That's my princess. Happy birthday, princess. I think today is her birthday, and if it is, happy birthday to you. And if it's your birthday, happy birthday. Thank you for joining, Jacqueline. Tiara, what's up, girl? Ron, good to see you, brother. Thank you, everybody, for joining. So we're going to end the broadcast here, y'all. It is 8:17. It's just getting later and later. Um, I hope that everybody has a fantastic Friday and weekend. Today's broadcast was a little bit more. Um, it was a little bit more. I guess maybe not as. I don't know, guys. Y'all let me know. I hope it was a really good broadcast. A little bit more serious, but I like to think that we always are here on the Savage Political Bite. But please, if you're so inclined, please share. Would love for you to share. Definitely want to grow this community. But I'm always appreciative, thankful for each and every person that takes time out of their valuable schedule to say, I want to tune in. So thank you so much for tuning in. All right, good people. I'm going to be a good preacher and I'm going to close out again. I'm being I'm being silly. Good morning. I appreciate you, Ron. Thank you so much. Ron says necessary words. What's up, Moni Lane? Good to see you, sis. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I appreciate everybody reading your comments. I appreciate each and every one of you. All right, good people. 38 days. Get engaged. Have a fantastic, fantastic, fantastic Friday. I absolutely love you all. And listen, before I close out, I do want to say this. All right, Steve. I do want to say this. Listen, folks that do this get tired too. So it's okay not to have something to say. I just want to say that it's okay. Not to say that anybody needed permission, especially permission from me, right? Not saying that. I just want to kind of convey that um, it is okay to feel tired, exhausted. It's okay to just kind of want to and to actually disengage. That's actually something that I do, and when I do disengage, I'm very much so um, intentional about that. It is okay to feel everything that we're feeling. Um, and that is why I love ending the broadcast the way that I do, which is concentrating on your breath work and speaking over yourself and saying back to each and every one of us on this Friday, on this September 25th, 2020, that we will win. We'll win, good people. All right. Love you all. Have an incredible, incredible day. And God willing, and with your help, I will see you on Monday. The last week in September, I'll see you on Monday for another Savage Political Bite, the #1 morning political primer in the nation. Have a fantastic day, and I'll see you all on Monday. Bye.